Right now on Up with KREM, if you plan on going grocery shopping this weekend, you will need to bring your own bag with you. The Washington plastic bag ban starts today.
It's time to pay attention to the fact that Native American women are more susceptible and more at risk of going missing.
The disappearance and death of Gabby Petito has captured the nation, but it's also caused many people to ask why that same attention isn't put on women of color when they go missing. How the state of Washington is trying to help.
A little bit of patchy fog as we kick things off this morning, but we have temperatures on the rise as sun returns to the skies. We're looking at a beautiful few days ahead. This year's Fall Harvest Festival looks amazing. This morning, we're live at Green Bluff with a look at activities for the whole family.
Up with KREM begins now with Tim Pham, Channing Curtis, and Jeremy Legoo.
Well, good morning and thanks for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis. Well, if you plan on going to the grocery store today, you'll definitely need to bring your own bag with you. The Washington State plastic bag ban goes into effect today. And this ban applies at all retail and grocery stores, including restaurants. So if you don't bring your own bag, you can simply pay an 8-cent fee for a recycled one. But if you're on food stamps, then you don't need to worry about the fee at all.
No, actually, food stamps users and anyone who receives food benefits, so under WIC or TANF, any of those food assistance programs is exempt from the 8-cent charge. They only need to show documentation of that. The store owner will not know to ask or automatically assume, but if they show documentation, then they will not have to pay the 8-cent charge.
Now, plastic bags used to wrap meats and produce are exempt from this law. When it comes to self-checkout areas, though, it's up to the store.
Yeah, so the law is not prescriptive about how self-checkout should be handled or how delivery through third-party apps should be handled. For that, it will be up to the business owner to determine their own policy, whatever works best. Some may establish a flat rate fee that covers a given number of bags, or some may assess the fee retroactively. It'll be up to the business owners. The thing that the law is clear about is that they are responsible for charging for those kinds of bags, at least 8 cents per bag.
Now, the state estimates Washingtonians use about 2 billion single-use plastic bags every year. The ban is an effort to reduce plastic pollution and waste. Now, this morning, of course, we want to hear from you. Will you be bringing your own bag with you to the store, or will you be paying the 8-cent fee? You can text us at 509-448-2000 with your comments. We've already gotten a lot of those this morning, with some people saying, yes, I'll bring my own bags, I'll bring my own grocery bags, even yes to get rid of plastic. Some people are even saying that it's ridiculous buying a shopping bag. Or some people say, use your own grocery bags, save a plastic tree. And again, you can always text us your opinions at 509-448-2000. We'll be keeping up with your comments all morning long here on Up with KREM. And if you want more information on the plastic bag ban in general, you can text the word bag to that same number, 509-448-2000. All right, let's get a look at the forecast because it is Friday. We made it to the weekend. Jeremy, I feel like every day of the week, we start counting down to the weekend. On Monday, we're like, we just started the week. But Friday is coming. Tuesday, Friday is coming. Friday is here.
Friday's here. we made it to Friday. And what does that say about us?
That we like the weekend?
Hey, well, if we like the weekend, let's get you outside and let you know what to expect. You can see, and even I can see here on the South Hill, a low-hanging stratus deck off in the distance. In some locations, that is down on the ground, and you have reduced and low visibility, and that low visibility is taking us into the morning. But because of some of those clouds, we stay mild. We're at 50 out at the airport right now. That's a mild start to the day. Notice I'm not wearing the pea coat this morning. I stepped outside to let the little puppy out, and I went, hey, little puppy. Whoa, it's kind of warm. All right. So I decided to leave the coat at home. 49 in Coeur d'Alene, 45 up in Sandpoint, 42 in Moses Lake, quite a bit cooler there with a lack of cloud cover and a lack of fog. But look at Deer Park. Visibility now up to a half mile, but that is still really low. So just know you have reduced visibility in a few areas. That includes Deer Park. If you make your way over toward Newport, you have reduced visibility there. Looks like Priest River, a little reduced visibility. Coeur d'Alene, and then up and over 4th of July and Lookout Pass, you're going to encounter some of that fog or low-hanging stratus cloud. That's following our cold front that moved out. And as the cold front moves out, we get a little bit of fog, a little bit of cloud cover. That clears out as the sun starts warming things up and our temperatures rise. We go from near 50 this morning to the mid 60s this afternoon. It's a weather pattern that brings about another trough, so it takes a while for us to warm up. But the good news is that we do find ourselves in the mid 60s today, upper 60s tomorrow, and low 70s by Sunday. It's the weekend. Enjoy it.
It's 6:06 on the dot. Time for your morning rush. More news in less time. Coeur d'Alene police are asking for your help to find a missing person. 62-year-old Sharon Archer was last seen at her home around 5th Street and Locust Avenue last Monday. Now, Archer was driving a white 2013 Toyota Highlander with Idaho license plate K562919. Archer does have some medical conditions, so anyone with information about where she could be should report it to the Coeur d'Alene police. Washington State is raising their minimum wage next year. Starting in January, it will go up 80 cents to $14.49. Under state law, the Department of Labor and Industries can raise the minimum wage based off of the price of food, housing, and gas. Cities are also allowed to set even higher wages. A former Spokane Indians player died Thursday after being shot while doing maintenance at a rental home. 37-year-old Christopher Gradoville was the director of baseball operations at Creighton University in Omaha. The Omaha Police Department says he was allegedly shot by the man who was renting the home. Previously, he played for the Indians in 2007. And new rules go into effect on Saturday for those looking to break into the cannabis industry. Starting tomorrow, licensed applicants with a criminal record dealing with weed will now qualify for grant funding. Earlier in the summer, Governor Jay Inslee signed House Bill 1443 into law, aiming to help remove barriers that have kept people out of the industry, especially minorities. The changes to the criminal history check are a part of a larger effort to create racial equity in the state's cannabis industry. Well, that's your morning rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media. Today is October 1st, and it's the start of National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, in Idaho, 33% of women will experience physical violence or sexual violence in their lifetime. And in Washington, that number goes up to 41%. Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crimes across the country. And with so much attention on the Gabby Petito case and the days even leading up to her disappearance and death, I spoke with two local activists about the number of missing Indigenous women and how these cases are reported.
It's time to pay attention to the fact that Native American women are more susceptible and more at risk of going missing.
Jenny Slagle knows firsthand how devastating it can be when a family member goes missing and is murdered.
It's been 10 years this year. In August of 2011, my sister Felicia was murdered in the city of Yakima by her abusive boyfriend. And then in 2013, my sister Angela went missing, and it took several days for law enforcement to respond to the situation. And 2 weeks later, she was found in a ditch that was close to her previous boyfriend's rural home.
According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, over half of Indigenous women will experience physical and or sexual violence at some point in their lives. Sadly, Washington is one of the leading states for Indigenous women to go missing and to be murdered.
One of the main issues is, as the Urban Indian Health Institute's report in 2018 called out, was that Native women often go missing 3 times in life, in media, and in data.
As of September 20th, there are more than 100 missing Indigenous people in Washington. Don Pullen, the tribal liaison for the Washington State Patrol, says it's a problem that affects both men and women.
But we are noticing, looking at database, that it's equal amongst men and women. So men and women go missing at the same rate.
The database she is referring to shows the number of missing Indigenous men and women across the state.
So we get our database from a national database called NCIC.
Mm-hmm.
And so if law enforcement in Spokane, Seattle, wherever, input that missing person into the national database, that's where we pull our information.
Once a person goes missing, the family reports it to police. The responding officers then have to share that report with the National Crime Information Center. That's where the Washington State Patrol's 2 tribal liaisons step in.
part of our job is to look at data, which I'm not sure if anybody was really looking at that as intensely as we are.
The Washington Attorney General's office is also creating a task force to help with these types of cases.
Speaking from experience as a family who had to deal with law enforcement as we were experiencing our loss and trauma, was just approaching it in as much of a culturally responsive and respectful way, recognizing that there are cultural differences in the way that Native families just really need more information on how the systems work.
With these additional resources in place, hopefully less Indigenous people will go missing and more families will be whole.
I think bringing awareness to the crisis is going to help create other people looking at the crisis, and maybe we can figure that out together as a community.
Now, there are so many grassroots organizations that are also working tirelessly to bring these missing women home, and we'll be sharing some of them on the KREM.com website just a little later this morning. Now, all month long on Up with KREM, we'll be talking about different topics involving domestic violence. So if you or someone you know needs help, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 1-800-799-7233. You can also go to their website, thehotline.org.
And believe it or not, we didn't really see much of a change in our drought monitor this current week. We got an update yesterday, and it keeps us at 29% of the state still in exceptional drought. We're talking our next chances of rain coming up in just a bit.
Well, hopefully it won't rain this weekend because it seems like it might be a perfect time to get out and enjoy some fall activities. And there are plenty of them to do around the inland Northwest. Coming up after the break, we're speaking with Todd Beck from Beck's Harvest House and the return of the Fall Harvest Festival.